Hello everyone and welcome to Online English class. This is Level 2, Lesson 13. This is Part 1. So in this video, we're going to do the warm-up and we're going to learn citizenship. If you do not want to learn citizenship, you can go to Part 2. You don't need to watch this video. You can just go to the video number 2. You are probably watching this video between May 18th and June 2nd. This video was filmed on May 15th, 2020. So let's do the warm-up. Today is, what is today? Today is Friday. The date is May 15th, May 15th, 2020. The month is May, the date is the 15th, and the year is 2020. The day is Friday. Let's look at the weather. So right now it is Friday at 12 in the afternoon. The weather is mostly cloudy, so we can just say the weather is cloudy. Right now the temperature is 73 degrees. This is the daily forecast, so the forecast for the whole week. Today is Friday. This is the high temperature and this is the low temperature. The low temperature is 58 degrees. The high temperature is 80 degrees. So the weather is cloudy. Today, the temperature range is from, so we always start with the low temperature first. This is the temperature range here at the bottom. The temperature range has the low temperature and the high temperature. The low temperature is 58 degrees and the high temperature is 80 degrees. Today, the temperature range is from 58 to 80 degrees. Am I right? Yes, 58 to 80 degrees. Right now, the temperature is 73 degrees. Right now, the temperature is 78 degrees. It feels hot. Okay, so now let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday is in the past. When we talk about the weather, we use the word it. So it with to be, we say it was. Yesterday the weather was sunny. And now we're talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow the weather, we say the weather will be. Tomorrow the weather will be. Today is Friday. Tomorrow is Saturday. So let's say tomorrow the weather will be partly cloudy. Tomorrow the weather will be partly cloudy. Okay, so now we are going to learn citizenship for the rest of the video. So we have 15 minutes where we learn about citizenship. If you do not want to learn about citizenship, you can just go to part 2, the next video. So I want you to go to my website and then go to your class level. In week 7, you're going to look at lesson 13 and you're going to find Citizenship Book. There is a Citizenship Book online and it's free. So you probably have this book at home, but if you don't, it's okay. This book is online and it's free. You don't need to pay money for it. But it's a book, so it's very, very, very long. It's very long, okay? It has, if you look at the top here, it says there are, let me see, it's not showing. The number of pages, it's not showing, okay. Oh, here it is. See, there are 33 pages in this book. That's a lot of pages. But we're going to go to page... What page is this? Oh, okay, so just page 1. We're going to start by learning... Oops, let me get ready. We're going to start off by learning about the American government. So these are the questions about the American government. And the reason I like this book is because the questions in this book, like this question here, these are the questions people will ask you when you take your citizenship exam. When you take the citizenship test, these are the questions they ask you, the same questions. And in this book, they give you all of the answers. There's a lot of questions, but these are the exact questions they will ask. The same questions every time. So, you need to know these questions because these are the questions they ask on the test. So we will be practicing a lot of them. So we're going to start with the American government. So I'm going to start off by teaching you a little bit of vocabulary. First, the word government, because in these tests you need to listen and understand. So maybe you don't get to see the word. So you need to be able to say this word and you need to listen for it. So government. I need a marker. Government. Government. The government is the people who make laws and taxes. They make laws and taxes. We call it the government. Okay, so let's look at laws, the word laws. Laws is another word for rules. So the laws of the country are the rules for the country. Okay, so let's look at the first question. The first question is, what is the supreme law of the land? What is the supreme law of the land? Okay, so first let's look at the word land. When we talk about land in this question, we mean country. So the United States. What is the supreme law of the United States? Okay, and we know the word law means rule. So what is the supreme rule of the United States? So now we need to talk about the word supreme. Supreme means the most important or the most powerful. An easy way to remember the word supreme is with pizzas. Okay, so supreme means the most powerful or the most important or the highest. Okay, so we can think about supremes like pizzas. So first we have a cheese pizza. It's a normal cheese pizza. There's nothing special. It's good, it's okay. Then we have a pizza with 2 toppings. So there's a little bit of food on the pizza. And finally, we have the supreme pizza. The supreme pizza has a lot of toppings. It has mushrooms, olives, pepperoni, peppers, broccoli, sausage. So much food on the pizza. So we can say the cheese pizza is good. The pizza with 2 toppings is better. And the supreme pizza is the best or the most important. So in Unit 7, we learned where it's like, so if we have one thing, we say important. Or powerful. If we only have one thing, we say it's important or powerful. But if we compare two things, we say more important or more powerful. The reason we say more is because important has 3 syllables. Important. Important. Powerful. Powerful. These adjectives have 3 syllables. Because they have more than 1 syllable, we say more. If we compare two things, we say more important, more powerful. Or we say higher. Because high only has 1 syllable, high, when we compare two things, we write ER at the end, so we say higher. And when we compare 3 or more things, we say the most important or the most powerful. Or we say the highest. When we compare 3 or more things, if the adjective has 1 syllable, we write EST at the end, so we say the highest. If the adjective has more than 1 syllable, like important, we say the most important, the most powerful. So we have 3 pizzas here. This is important. This is more important. This is the most important. The most powerful is the supreme pizza. Supreme means the most powerful, the highest, the most important. So what is the supreme law of the land? What is the most important rule of the country? Well, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. The Constitution is a document, so it is a paper, and it has important rules for the country and the government. Another name for the Constitution, we call it the supreme law of the land. So let me help you say this word. We say it like Constitution. 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 The Constitution. Sorry. The Constitution. So let me show you a picture of the Constitution. This is the Constitution. This is the Constitution. It is a document, a very old document, a very old paper that has all of the rules for the country and the government. It makes the rules for the country and it makes rules for the government. The first 3 words at the top, the biggest words on the paper say, "We the people." This is a W. We the people. So you know it's the Constitution because the biggest words on the paper say "We the people" at the top. So what does it mean really when I say the Constitution is the supreme law of the land or the highest law of the land? Well, so Here are the 4 types of laws we have for the country. So, at the bottom, we have city laws. Above city laws, we have state laws. And above state laws, we have country laws. And then above everything, the highest law we have is the Constitution. So, if the city laws have to follow all of these other laws, the city laws is not very important because the Constitution is the most important. So, any law that the Constitution has is more important than the laws under it. So we say the Constitution is the most powerful law. The Constitution is the supreme law because it has the laws for the country and government. Okay, so let's read some more information about the Constitution. The Founding Fathers. The Founding Fathers are the people who wrote the Constitution. They are the ones who made the government for the first time. Again, the Founding Fathers are the people who wrote the Constitution in 1787. This is when the country first started. It's when the United States started. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Okay? Establish means make. It makes the basic principles. Another word for principles is rules. It makes the basic rules of the United States government. So that leads us to question number 2. What does the Constitution do? What does it do? What is it for? Okay, so the first thing the Constitution does is it sets up the government. It defines the government. What these two mean is that the Constitution makes the rules for the government. It says, okay, so we have one president, we have a parliament or a Congress. The president can be in office. The president can be the president for 8 years and no more, and we have to vote. So the Constitution makes the rules for the government. So let's read a little bit more. The Constitution of the United States divides government power. Divide, if you remember from math, divide means to split something into equal pieces. So let's look at this pizza. This is a pizza. You can divide a pizza into 8 equal pieces. This pizza is divided into 8 equal pieces. This is another pizza. This pizza is divided into 2 pieces. So, the word divide means to split something into equal or similar pieces to make them different. So the Constitution of the United States divides government power. So it divides the power of the government into 2 pieces. It divides the government power into 2 pieces. 1, 2. The power is divided between the national government and state governments. So power is divided between the national government and state governments. So, the national government. The national government is for the country. The national government is for all of the United States. And then we have the state governments. Every state has different rules or laws they follow. So, for example, the federal government has the power to decide how old you need to be to drink wine or beer. To drink alcohol in the United States, you need to be 21 years old. To smoke cigarettes, you need to be 21 years old. They just changed the rule this year. In January, the national government changed the country laws to say you need to be 21 years old to smoke cigarettes. The national government changed the country rules. State governments. Every state has a government. There are 50 governments in total. There are 50 states in total. So there are 50 state governments in total. So, laws like the speed limit. The speed limit is controlled by the state government. So in Georgia, let's say the speed limit is 65 miles per hour. You go 65, that's fast. So that's the speed limit for Georgia. But if you go to Texas, the speed limit is 85. You can drive 85 miles per hour in Texas. It has a different state law for the speed limit. So the national government controls laws for the whole country, so everything is the same. But some laws are controlled by the state government, like the speed limit. So in every state has a different speed limit. So there is a divide in power. There is a divide in power for two sides. One side is the national government for the country. The other side is the state government for every state. We call this divide federalism. 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 Okay, so the U.S. Constitution divides government power between the national government and the state governments. The name for this division, the name for this divide, is called federalism. Okay, so we call the founding fathers who wrote the Constitution the framers of the Constitution. So we can call them the founding fathers, or we can call them the framers. It's the same thing. Or, yeah, we can call them founding fathers. We can call them framers of the Constitution. Or we can just call them writers. Writers are people who write. So people who write books are called writers. We can call the people who wrote the Constitution, we can call them the founding fathers, we can call them the framers, or we can just call them the writers of the Constitution, the makers of the Constitution. So in the Constitution, it says the national government has 3 parts in it. The national government has 3 different parts in it. So we have the national government, and it has 1, 2, 3 parts. These are their names. The first one is called the legislative part. So this part has Congress. So in other countries, we call it Parliament. Parliament in other countries. This is usually where the government is in other countries. But in the US, we call it Congress. So in the US, Congress is 2 different groups. The first group is called the House of Representatives. The second is called the Senate. So, in Congress, we have 2 different groups. One is called the House of Representatives. The other is called the Senate. These two groups, these two buildings together, they make Congress. Here's a better picture. So, legislative branch. This is the US Capitol. This is the building in Washington, D.C. The people who make the laws, the people who make the rules for the country are called Congress. There are two different parts of Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Together, they make Congress. Together, they make laws for the country. The next part of the national government is called the executive. The executive is the White House. So the executive is the president and the vice president. And then the third part of the national government is called the judicial. In the judicial, we have the Supreme Court. So this is the court. This is where they decide on laws, they go to court, it's all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So the important thing here is the word supreme. Supreme means the most powerful. This is the most powerful court in the country. So a court, if you go to a courthouse, maybe you're driving too fast and you get a speeding ticket from the police and you have to go to the courthouse. Well, that's a very low courthouse. It's not very powerful. This courthouse here, this courthouse is for the whole country. So it is the Supreme Courthouse. It's the most powerful court. So the national government has three parts to it. It has the legislative part. This part is for making laws, for making rules and taxes. The executive part. The executive is the president. And then the judicial. The judicial is for the courts. These are the three parts of the national government.